endings, broken futures, shattered dreams, end of times ain't what it seems.
Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, July 17th, 2016. Thank you for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. It's been a long week. It's now the 7th straight day of bombing Iran. We're bombing Iran right now as this show's on, as this show's live. Quite a monstrosity. We're going to cover all the details. Our U.S. bases there in West Asia region under heavy attack as well. We're going to cover those details. There's reports now out of Kentucky, from Kentucky governor, that Mitch McConnell is dead. We'll take a look at those reports. And a whole lot of reporting about this Iran war. Things are escalating. Not good at all. We'll take a little bit of look at Trump's claims from last night that China stole our election. We won't spend that much time on it because honestly, I don't care about elections. Guess what? Breaking news here right now: government wins every election. Let's see, what else do we got? A lot of AI, surveillance state, data center, technocracy news. Quite a bit of that today. A little bit of Epstein news, not much on this Friday, a little bit. We'll go over with that. The Canadian fires. I'm blaming Snow because he should have been out there managing the forest a little bit better. No, seriously, Trump is blaming Canada, says they're not maintaining their forest and threatening tariffs on Canada over these forest fires. And it is creating hazardous air conditions across much of the Northeast. A bunch of, so apparently it just feels like a meme. Do we really trust the health department? I certainly don't. But they're alleging they tracked back this bacterial outbreak causing explosive diarrhea to Taco Bell. Bunch of economic news, geopolitical news. What is up with the Strait of Hormuz? It's essentially closed here now. More bragging about killing Russians, this time from our own CIA. They just love to brag about killing Russians. It's not right to brag about killing anyone, okay? It's just simply not right. We got the, apparently Department of War is rolling out space power beam. We'll take a look at that. They're leveling Lebanon and Gaza. The genocide continues, all that news. And much more on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I see a few people coming online now. Shout out to everybody there in the chat. What is Strong on the Rumble says, comedian said a funny joke that Iran wants to pay $10 million to take out Cheeto. The guy said there are millions who would do it for free. They are offering, there's a bunch of different prices on Trump's heads. It's not a joke, but yeah, I do agree that there are millions of Muslims that will gladly do it for free. I believe that's in the cards of the controllers. When is Trump going to exit stage left? Whether real, fake, it doesn't really even matter. And then insert J.D. Vance, Mr. Technocracy, the voice of reason, as he's being charted around the media lately. All right, we got a bunch of news today. Let's get through this day in history and get to all this news for you. I'm just trying to get back to the right tab here. Here we go. On this day in our history of July 17th, we go back all the way to the year 1054. In the year 1054, on this day, Holy Roman Emperor Henry III has his son, Henry IV, crowned King of the Romans. 1296. This one caught my attention. On this day in 1296, illuminated Hebrew Bible, the Rothschild, and then how do you pronounce it? Pentateuch. The Rothschild Pentateuch, signed and completed by scribes Elijah bin Mesallam and Elijah bin Jahila, now in the Getty Museum. And it's this thing right here they're talking about from 1296 in the Getty Museum right here, as you can see. Teeming with hybrid figures, animal and humanoid, as well as a spectacular display of calligraphic, virtuously known as micrography, the Rothschild Pentateuch, vibrant colors and gleaming gold distinguish it from the greater part of medieval Hebrew book production. Featuring hundreds of illuminated foils in its over 1,000 pages, the Rothschild Pentateuch is one of the most elaborate illuminated Hebrew Bibles to survive from the Middle Ages. And there's the cover right there, displayed at the Getty Museum. I found that interesting. Anytime I hear Rothschild, obviously the red flags go up. Fast way forward in history on this day, 1791, members of the French National Guard under command of General Lafayette opened fire on crowd of radical Jacobins at Champ de Mars, Paris, during the French Revolution, killing an estimated 50 people. 1856. On this day, we saw the great train wreck of 1856 between Camp Hill and Fort Washington, Pennsylvania. It killed over 60 people. The great train wreck of 1856 in 1856. On this day, 1861, U.S. Congress authorizes paper money. 1867, on this day, we saw the first U.S. dental school, Harvard School of Dental Medicine is established. 1898, on this day, the capture of Santiago de Cuba, Spanish-American War, Spaniards surrender to U.S. forces at Santiago de Cuba. 1917, on this day, royal family changes its name. Royal proclamation by King George V changes name of British royal family from German Saxe-Coburg-Gotha to Windsor. The royal family of England is German, if you didn't know already. 1918, on this day, Royal Romanov family executed. The Romanov royal family and several of their retainers are executed by a Bolshevik firing squad in the basement of Ipatiev House in Russia. On this day in 1936, Spanish Civil War begins. Spanish General Francisco Franco and Emilio Mola lead a right-wing uprising starting the Spanish Civil War. 1945, on this day, Harry Truman, Joseph Stalin, and Winston Churchill hold their first post-World War II meeting at the Potsdam Conference. On this day, 1955, Arco, Idaho becomes the first U.S. city lit by nuclear power. And on this day in 2017, sadly enough, the Muppet Studio fires the voice of Kermit the Frog, Steve Whitmire, citing his unacceptable business conduct. And on this day in our civil liberties history, we had two events I wanted to mention. 1946, on this day in our civil liberties history, then President Truman authorizes FBI wiretapping. President Harry Truman on this day approved a memo from Attorney General Tom Clark that authorized wiretapping by the FBI. Clark's memo continued secret FBI spying on political dissidents that had been authorized by FDR on May 21st, 1940. This incident reveals that while many of the FBI's actions under J. Edgar Hoover were secret and unknown to his superiors, many others were directly authorized or passively approved by the Attorney General or the President. The notorious COINTELPRO program, for example, which arguably involved the most abusive FBI actions, was approved by the National Security Council on March 8, 1956, with both the President and the Attorney General giving their silent consent. The full scope of FBI abuses were not known until the investigators and reports by the Senate Church Committee in 1975 and 76. The government are criminals. They have to break the law to get the criminals, then you're a criminal. 2014, I can't breathe. And so this is the case that Black Lives Matter should have taken up, and somehow they missed it. I believe all by design. I can't breathe. Eric Garner choked to death by New York police officers. I remember this. Eric Gardner, a 43-year-old black man, was choked to death on this day on Staten Island, New York, by New York City police officers who are arresting him for selling individual cigarettes on the street. Taxation's theft, and it can result in your death. They're pissed off because he didn't charge cigarette tax. If you would just give him a little cut, he'd still be alive today. A legitimate case of police brutality, killing a black man. You would think the black groups would use that. Not so much. Not so much in their fight against police brutality and racism. They picked George Floyd now, didn't they? In these other spurious cases. All right, here's our segue to the news. And a couple different clips. I guess we'll go with this one by Tucker. And watch out for Tucker. He's running around saying half of the right things and then wants to endorse J.D. Vance, Mr. Technocracy. I don't think so, buddy. I don't think so.
Second, the loyalty that matters is the loyalty of our leaders to the country they represent. Okay. And they're disloyal. Trump has been disloyal to the United States.
I can't argue with that. But then his solution is, J.D. Vance? No. All right, here's the news. Here's the news. Is Mitch McConnell dead? I don't know. Kentucky Governor Andy Bashar has told reporters that he received multiple calls from different officials suggesting that Senator Mitch McConnell had died, though he had not confirmed the truth of these reports. The New Republic reported in a July 15th interview with Katie Couric, Bashar said the information came a month before any official statement from McConnell's office. He described receiving 2 separate calls from non-state agencies indicating the 84-year-old Republican had passed away. McConnell's health has been under scrutiny since June 14, 2026, when he was found unconscious at his Washington, D.C. home and hospitalized. Kentucky governor says he's dead, according to 2 reports he got. We don't have official confirmation because the government lies so freaking much, man. And his group, they just will do anything to hold on to this power. And it's like, man, great public servants doing a great disservice to the public. This is out of WKYT, Kentucky. They say during the interview with Katie Couric on her YouTube channel, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear said that he received information suggesting Senator Mitch McConnell had passed away. I think he's dead. They put out that weird message where he's like propped up with his Chinese spy wife, and like half the analysis say it's AI, the other half say it's real, but it's old. And so they keep playing these games. They keep playing these games with Mitch McConnell. I'm calling him dead here now, according to these reports from the Kentucky governor. White House doing this big distraction push. We're in a legal foreign war of aggression, bombing Iran right now. But, oh, yeah, China stole our election. Again, the government wins every election. So Homeland Security man says, if you're illegal and attempt to vote, or you tried to vote illegally for someone else, we will find you and we will charge you. I'm not even going to play the clip. I'll just read you the excerpt of it. Honestly, I've never been interested in any of this election fraud. The entire thing's a fraud. The government's a fraud in and of itself. So there you go. Vote harder, bro. We've identified 250,000 non-citizens registered to vote in just 4 states. This is a statement put out by the Department of Homeland Security. They're unconstitutional. They care about democracy, bro. They should all walk themselves into FEMA camps and resign. That'll never happen. We also worked with proactive states to identify 28,000 non-citizens on their voter rolls, plus 400,000 individuals that are still registered to vote that are deceased. Department of Homeland Security claims. All of it amounting to pretty much jack. The White House yesterday says the U.S. election system is broken. Here's what the disclosures reveal. Hundreds of millions of American voter files in the hands of foreign governments, voting machines, and ballot counting systems exposed to hacking and manipulation. China and other adversaries actively trying to meddle in elections, evidence of fraud being buried, hundreds of thousands of non-citizens and dead people still active on voter rolls. When I die, don't let me vote Democrat or Republican. Don't let me vote at all. How about that? No voter ID, no proof of citizenship required. Tens of millions of mail-in ballots floating unsecured. Enough is enough, the White House says. The CIA says to support President Trump's transparency initiatives, CIA has taken significant steps, including providing declassified documents for public release, protecting our democracy and the integrity of our elections from foreign influence and interference remains paramount. This is why we produce key intelligence reports showing that Venezuela's government had developed capabilities to manipulate electronic voting systems, raising serious concerns for election for U.S. election infrastructure security. I have long publicly highlighted China's nefarious efforts to influence the 2020 election against President Trump, as evidenced by my dissent to the flawed January 2021 intelligence community assessment. The documents declassified today, that was yesterday, shed further light on China's intentions. These matters deserve public scrutiny to ensure our democracy's foundation, the security and public confidence in our elections, is unassailable. CIA Director John Ratcliffe, they're all pack of criminals. Left, right, and center, red, white, and blue criminals. DHS blaming Iran hacking. They say Department of Homeland. I guess we'll play this because it's so absurd.
We know that Iran hacked our state voter files and attempted to compromise, is the best word I can use, our systems where military members used to vote. So we're working with Secretary Hegseth and the DOW to safeguard those systems and protect our military voters.
Well, we're bombing Iran right now, so they're paying for it. If you can believe any of this from the CIA and Department of Homeland Security, they never lied to the people before, have they? Here's Gavin Newsom's response. He's another criminal. So Trump's going to be the most corrupt president in U.S. history, probably get impeached before his term's up. The Republicans are going to lose the midterms, and they're going to usher in another criminal, Gavin Newsom. Good job, because the government is working together against you and I, the American people, this pack of criminals calling themselves our representatives. They don't represent anything but their own self-interest and their own gang interests.
Well, the only thing missing tonight in Donald Trump's speech was tinfoil. This was a legitimate 25th Amendment moment, the ramblings of a mad king. Don't get me wrong, foreign interference in our elections, that's a real thing. Nothing about what you watched tonight, though, was real. It's make-believe. He wants to rig the election in 2026. He knows.
And the same with this guy.
He's going to lose. He needs to rig the election before one vote was cast. That's what that whole thing was about tonight. This is a serious and profound moment.
I hate his cadence when he goes like that. Trump's intelligence dossier fails to prove his election fraud claims. President Trump declassified a 270-page intelligence trove to prove the 2020 election was compromised by China and domestic actors, but the files directly contradict his assertions. Shockingly enough. Look over there. We're bombing Iran right now. Should be impeached for illegal foreign wars of aggression. Is what he should be impeached for. That won't be what he's impeached for. The reflecting pool, so badly damaged by deranged vandals, has been emptied as the massive splash gets repaired. The massive slash. We still never saw any evidence of a massive slash that Trump was claiming. He put out this post earlier today. Still never saw any evidence of a massive slash. Okay, on to the war news here now. It's looking bad. It's looking bad. We're on day 7 straight days of bombing campaigns against Iran. Yesterday, let's wrap up yesterday because it was ongoing as today. The bombing campaign's ongoing. U.S. Central Command posted, and so we'll wrap up about yesterday's bombing campaign. Yesterday, on July 16th, U.S. forces successfully destroyed Chaha Bahar Shahid Cal and Ari Port surveillance tower. They're proud of blowing up that old, what do you do with a low T Hegseth? Put that photo out. Continuing here, part of a maritime surveillance network along Iran's Gulf of Oman coastline used for decades by the IRGC to track and target commercial vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz. The destruction of the tower directly degrades IRGC's ability to coordinate attacks on innocent civilian crew members. Furthermore, the strike protects freedom of navigation in regional waters for all vessels except for ships attempting to violate the ongoing U.S. naval blockade against Iran. Here's the video put up by U.S. Central Command blowing up that communications tower. Allegedly, who knows what is this from a video game? Who knows? This is what U.S. Central Command claims in the video they put out. Not much to see there, honestly. I believe they blew up the tower, according to still images in the daytime. Yeah, not a whole heck of a lot to see there. That was the video from U.S. Central Command. Okay, we got a lot more here. Here's from what do you do with a low T Hegseth? There is the tower. I do believe they blew it up. There's video of it as well being blown up. But Secretary of War Hegseth proudly posted that. Here's a mashup of some of the damage. New aerial footage shows widespread destruction from U.S. strikes on Iranian bases. 6 bridges hit. Let's watch this mashup video of the damage of the U.S. bombing campaigns on Iran. Yeah, we're whacking the bridges pretty good. There you can see. Ongoing bombing campaigns. When was this? Yesterday. More wrap up from yesterday, and we'll get on to today. U.S. Central Command posted, U.S. successfully completes new strikes in Iran. U.S. forces, including fighter jets, aerial drones, and warships, launch precision munitions that hit dozens of Iranian military targets, such as coastal surveillance and air defense sites, military logistics infrastructure, and maritime capabilities. This was the 6th consecutive night of U.S. strikes against Iran. That was yesterday. We're on day 7 of strikes today. At the commander-in-chief's direction, CENTCOM is further degrading Iranian military capabilities and holding Iran accountable for recent attacks on commercial shipping. More than 50,000 U.S. service members are operating across the Middle East and remain vigilant, lethal, and ready. Fact checks are back from U.S. Central Command. Claim by Iran. Iranian forces claim they attacked Al-Tanaf garrison in Syria and captured or killed American troops in the process. False, according to U.S. Central Command. Fact check says the truth. No U.S. troops in the region have recently been killed or captured. And I do believe they're lying. I don't know about this specific incident, but overall, I believe they're not telling us the truth about deaths or injuries to U.S. troops in the region. The Gulf bases are being hit in this round because the previous campaign failed to destroy the Iranian missile sites and also relied on a division of labor between the U.S. and Aardvark Land Air Forces to suppress launcher fire, which meant smaller salvos. Similarly, in the 12-day war, missile attacks from Iran toward Aardvark Land took place in larger salvos because U.S. aircraft were not involved in suppressing launch sites, disabling bases close to Iran and forcing operations to be carried out from more distant locations or carriers would also further reduce the shorty rate and intensity of the current campaign. And our base there in Qatar got whacked. I think we have Iran claims strike on Al Udeidi, the largest U.S. air base in the Middle East. Iran's IRGC claimed it launched a heavy and surprising attack on the U.S. base in Qatar earlier today, claiming it destroyed a long-range radar system and several U.S. strategic refueling aircraft and damaged others. The claim could not be independently verified, and there is no immediate confirmation from the U.S. military or Qatar. Al Udeidi, southwest of Doha, is the largest U.S. base in the Middle East and the forward headquarters of U.S. Central Command. Qatar's defense ministry said earlier that its forces were intercepting a number of air attacks targeting the country without identifying who was behind them. It's a mystery who was behind them. Obviously, Iran. The reported strike is especially significant because Qatar has been one of the lead mediators between Washington and Tehran, hosting talks aimed at ending the war. Iran previously struck the base and launched missiles and drones repeatedly during the first 40-day round of the war. We killed a bunch of Iranians. Iranian Health Ministry claims U.S. strikes have killed at least 38 Iranians and wounded 400 since the war picked up hot and heavy in the past week. That was earlier today. Again, we showed this image, but quite an image on this bridge here. Yeah, they whacked this driver, right? Maybe, I don't know, Hollywood movie. Maybe the guy jumped out. I doubt it, right? So they whacked this driver and blew up the bridge there. Surprisingly enough, whatever they're hauling in there still didn't get blown up, right? So, yeah. Overnight, U.S. strikes kill at least 8, injured 20 across Iran. This is last night. Reported earlier today. Overnight, U.S. strikes targeting infrastructure in several Iranian provinces killed at least 8 people and injured 20 others. Iranian state television is reporting. State News TV is reporting there. In Iran, according to the report, the attacks took place last night and early this morning. Health Ministry spokesman said the death toll, we already told you that, 38 dead Iranians and 400 injured, including women and children, civilians. Separately, Iran's Tizem news agency reported that a U.S. strike on the Tepehi Allah Akbar Hill neighborhood in the southern city of Bandar Abbas killed a woman and wounded 8 others. Tazim said the woman's 1-year-old child was critically injured, suffering an amputation of one hand and shrapnel wounds to the chest. commander of the naval force of the IRGC, which doesn't exist according to Trump, said the movements of equipment of the American terrorist army are under the supervision of the naval units of the IRGC. The Americans are getting closer and closer to the 0 hour for the operations of the Iranian armed forces against the naval units of CENTCOM in regional waters. Iran hits U.S. positions in Syria, Jordan, and Oman. The strikes were in response to U.S. bombardment of several bridges and a railway station, coming as part of Washington's latest wave of attacks on Iran. The IRGC announced earlier today its latest retaliatory strike on Washington's assets in the region, targeting sites in Syria, Jordan, Oman, and Kuwait. And they go through here making claims. They put up the satellite images. I don't know. Is that worth showing? I'll link to it at Weaponized News Substack. Everybody can go take a look and at the satellite images of claims from Iran that they're blowing up our military assets, bases in the region. The Iranian operations were in response to the 5th consecutive night of heavy U.S. bombings across. So it's ongoing here now. Ongoing targeting of our bases, ongoing bombing by America on Iran. It's happening right now. A bunch of these different posts. Again, I'll post the link at Weaponized News Substack for those interested to go check it out. Some are actual photos. Some are satellite images. Some are very low resolution. I do believe they're shooting at our bases. Are they actually hitting them? I don't know. You know what I mean? How's our defenses against these Iranian attacks? I don't know. Both sides lie. Both sides lie out of both sides of their mouth. IRGC claims responsibility for strikes. Yeah, we covered that. Let's see. Any more about that? IRGC added that it launched ballistic missiles and drone strikes against U.S. military assets in Jordan, claiming to have destroyed several fighter jets and fuel tankers at bases hosting U.S. forces, including facilities linked to CENTCOM. In a separate statement, it said it targeted HIMARS launchers, missiles, and U.S. military positions in Kuwait, claiming additional casualties among U.S. forces and allied groups. They say they whacked a bunch of our troops. We say no. The IRGC has reiterated that the Strait of Hormuz remains under its control and warned that no oil or gas exports would pass through the waterways as long as U.S. military operations continue against Iran. Iran to go on offensive if U.S. bombing continues. Complete offense and destruction. Old Razai, this dude, he's always all pissed off. He's saying that, this dude. He was retired or whatever and then came back for the Iran war. And now he's a top advisor. Top IRGC advisor. He's always all pissed off on Iranian TV. U.S. bombs Iran for 7th straight day. U.S. Central Command. Latest from U.S. Central Command, this was, 4 hours ago, they posted on X. They say CENTCOM launched a round of strikes against Iran at 3 p.m. Eastern time today for the 7th consecutive night. The strikes are designed to continue degrading Iran military capabilities at the commander-in-chief's direction. Makes no sense because we've done this already. We're in Groundhog Day on a loop. Or Trump's been lying to us the entire time. Take your pick. Feels like Trump's been lying the entire time. And we have not destroyed their Navy, their military capabilities, had regime change, run the Strait of Hormuz, destroyed their nuclear program. None of that has happened, according to Trump, claiming it multiple times. Or why the hell are we bombing them right now? U.S. Central Command says it launched a new round of strikes on Iran. Here's a map so we could see, instead of me butchering all the pronunciations, here's a map and we could see the targets according to U.S. Central Command. And so some analysts I saw out there are saying this is paving the way for a ground invasion. That may very well be the case, cutting off transit lines via train transit and via bridges, and softening up these positions on the coast for a potential ground invasion into Iran. It may very well be in the works. There have been reports that it is in the works. I do believe the Pentagon and the White House have plans. Will they actually put boots on the ground, straight up invasion of Iran? Maybe. That may be coming next. And all these bombing campaigns to clear the way, that's certainly a very real possibility here now. More from Razazi. They spell his name a bunch of different ways, and all. It's like, it's hard to know, right? But this same dude, pissed off Iranian, that dude, right? Raizi. Anyhow, he says he's a top advisor to Iran's Supreme Leader Khomeini. He says if the United States continues the war over the next 2 or 3 days, we will enter the phase of full-scale assault and annihilation of the enemy. Said that on an interview on Iranian state TV. If this strategy is activated, we will no longer limit ourselves to retaliation, and no political border will provide security against Iran's offensive forces. He also said, we are fiercely pounding American targets. The Americans should brace for waves of missiles and drones. See, they're not that bad of terrorists. They're even giving us a heads up. Hey, brace for our big missile drone attacks. See, they're not all that bad terrorists. This guy, right? He's saying all that on Iranian state TV. All right, we'll get to more of the war reporting in the second half of the show. Let's take a look now at wowzers. They're coming at us hard and heavy with technocracy here now, scientific dictatorship, the Greater North America Project. Now we have to give up anything and everything because China is going to beat us in the AI race. Reported earlier today here by Axios. Can we believe them? No. But they claim here now, China just erased U.S. AI lead. Moonshot AI drops Kim I K3, an open-weighted model that beats Anthropic's Opus 4.8 on several benchmarks and is 40% cheaper. Well, give up all your rights, turn yourself into a FEMA camp, because this report from Axios claims that China's now beating us in the AI race. So we should just all line up, get the brain chip, and plug ourselves into the data center for powering it, because God forbid China beats us in the AI race when they're actually all working together and playing the population. And I'm sure China, Russia tell their population the same thing. Oh my gosh, we can't yet let the evil American imperialists beat us in the AI race. And so that's how all this Cold War is playing out. We did have some statement. We reported yesterday how China and Russia are building this parallel AI world. We did have some statements from Chinese President Xi Jinping on the Chinese AI vision. I'll just read it to you because it's kind of annoying. We have the video of it, but it's annoying with the translation. So I'll just read you the excerpts here. This is an excerpt from a most recent President of China's Xi Jinping speech. China's AI vision. He says, we must make its oversight and governance precise and effective, and consistently refine measures to forestall loss of control, we should always guide AI development with human wisdom and international consensus so that AI can truly become a mighty force that increases the well-being of humanity and advances human civilization. Huh? Thought we were using it to create AI kill list. I don't know what China's talking about. He went on to say AI development and its application should not erode or undermine the diversity of world civilizations or their uniqueness of cultures or different countries. We must shape the values of AI with humanity's common values and make good use of AI technologies to increase understanding, tolerance, exchanges, and sharing among all civilizations. Meanwhile, Palantir is working on how to increase the efficiency of our killing machine using AI. He went on to say we should tend to the garden of civilizations with great care to ensure that the beauty of each civilization is appreciated and shared. China stays on message, and they do have a lot more uplifting message than what we hear out of Palantir, for example. Just saying. Do I believe them? No, but their messaging is a lot more rosy than what we got coming out of America here. He went on to say, in China's view, all countries should take a people-centered approach and develop AI for the positive and for good. We should ensure that AI is an important driver for shared prosperity and common security. We also join hands to build a just and equitable system for global AI governance. A humanoid company backed by Eric Trump is preparing its robots for war. Wired magazine put out that report. There you go. MAGA loves Terminators now. Sure they do. The CEO of Foundation Future Industries, which counts the president's son's son as its chief strategy advisor, tells Wired magazine it's exploring some kinetic things. Some companies want their humanoid robots to fold clothes. Others want them in the workspace. CEO of Foundation Futures Industry have a slighter different goal: produce an all-American robot super soldier. Pat Thank, very American name there. Pathak. That's the CEO. Foundation CEO says his company plans to start giving its humanoids lethal capability soon, although he declined to share specifics. We have some kinetic things we're exploring, he told Wire magazine. We'll probably unveil something in the next couple months, he added. Besides combat, the company says its robots can be useful for logistics, reconnaissance, and inspection. The U.S. military has a long-standing interest in humanoids. The Defense Advanced Research Project, DARPA, funded major humanoid contests between 2012 and 2015. You've all seen the videos there, right? Was it Boston Dynamics? There's a couple different companies. You've seen the humanoid robot videos, I'm sure. Continuing here, and the Army has a program called X-Tech Humanoids that bankrolls the development of technologies relevant for militarized humanoid capability. Militaries around the world are rapidly exploring and adopting new autonomous and semi-autonomous systems, including aerial drones, small vessels, and compact vehicles. Legged systems can traverse more challenging terrain, and the hope is that humanoids can take on many tasks now done by human soldiers. The war in Ukraine has served as a laboratory for the development and testing of many of these systems. And so has the genocide there in Gaza, I would add, as well. So yeah, how long until they're rolling out the humanoid Terminator kill robots? It seems, according to this report, right on the horizon. And apparently MAGA will cheer that on as well when the Terminator terminates them. Anything for corruption. It's a bright future. Here's a time lapse of flock cameras going up extremely fast from January 2024 to July 2026. Take a look at this. The rapid expansion of flock surveillance cameras. Probably nothing to worry about. It's all for public safety, right? Would never be abused. There's all these reports of abuse we'll get to. Here's a guy went up to one, and it's emitting a Bluetooth signal for your phone, connecting and tracking you, not just the camera spying on you. It's all up in your electronics as well.
So we are getting this flock camera. It's emitting this Connect 36295 Bluetooth signal. It will randomly emit that. You can see it right there. We observed it 32 seconds ago. I can start this back up and you'll see we'll observe it consistently. This specific unit is obviously set off by human motion. Whether that's taking a picture of me is questionable, but the IR element definitely is set off from human motion. As you can see, no cars are coming. There's that Connect signal. It's a Bluetooth signal. You can see at the top there, it's coming from the back of this battery pack. I believe it's coming from that white battery module emitting a Bluetooth signal. This looks to be a standard Falcon ALPR unit, so it's not going to be the AI video powered condo unit. The easiest way to tell is the camera. The IR unit is more towards the top of the camera as opposed to the Condor where they're on the middle. You'll be able to see this triggered by the cars. It's taking 6 to 8 images of each vehicle as it goes by, make, model, color, decals, damage, and then it's uploading that basically via LTE to Flock OS where it becomes searchable, indexable, and they can refer to it later. So very extensive system. Again, we're picking up that Connect 36295 signal coming from the, what I believe is the BLE battery pack.
Multiple towns in Connecticut are permanently removing flock cameras from their neighborhoods. Let's watch this report.
Town leaders here in Windsor say it was not an easy decision, but they have decided to pull the plug on the 16 flock cameras that were set up around town. And to be clear, these cameras are not the kind that send you a ticket if you go by speeding or running a red light. They just sit there quietly photographing every vehicle going by, noting the time, license plate, and location. If a car is stolen out of Hartford, police can access the flock cameras and see if that car went by a camera here in Windsor. But town leaders have decided to turn off those cameras because Flock Safety could not guarantee that it's not sharing its information with federal agencies like ICE.
Where is the data going? Who has access to that information? Who can access that information? Is it being shared with third parties?
In a statement from Flock Safety, they say Public safety and privacy are not competing goals, and Flock is committed to transparency, accountability, and local oversight in every community we serve. Now, one resident here in Windsor used a Freedom of Information Act request to find out how many times camera information was accessed. He got it for a 9-week period and found out that that information was accessed by third parties more than 500,000 times in just 9 weeks.
Your data accessed more than 500,000 times in 9 weeks in just that little setup they had there. It's all for public safety. These are bastard criminal companies stealing and surveilling us. Here's a clip from Tucker about it. Again, I don't trust Tucker.
There's a place there called Marcus Jewish Community Center. It's a private, large community center that's kind of beloved by the community. And they have cameras on the wall there that aren't Flock cameras. They're like the standard cameras you would have in any sort of business. And the community center said, okay, well, we're a little worried that there might be some sort of anti-Semitic attack. So we want to share our footage with police in case they need it, in case there's a shooting or something terrible happens. And by doing that, they shared it with Flock. So what Jason had discovered is that over 1,000 times, Flock employees viewed those cameras inside this private community center, including but not limited to the pool, the daycare center, the children's gymnastics room, and nobody had been arrested. Nobody had to answer any questions about it. In fact, they actually made it harder for Flock to collect an audit or to collect a record of who was looking at the camera internally from the company.
Wait, just to be clear, it was Flock employees who were not licensed law enforcement officers.
All
right?
grown men. Yes, all Flock employees, over 1,000 times, and they were all grown men. And they were looking at these cameras of the daycare center, the children's gymnastics room, and their defense to this was that it was a product demo for another client. And I'm thinking to myself, if I had a business and I wanted a Flock camera, if I had a police department and somebody pulled up a laptop and said, look how good this works, and then it was a children's gymnastics room, I would call the police, or hit them. I'm not sure what I would do, but yeah, that's an outrageous explanation. That's just delusional.
How many
They're spying on ex-girlfriends, on little kids, on you and I. They're sick freaks. The noise from a plant powering Elon Musk's XAI data center in Mississippi is keeping residents awake and destroying their quality of life. Residents in South Haven, Mississippi have organized, gone to hearings, and talked to the media. But so far, the mayor's advice is consider selling. Let's watch this short clip of residents there complaining to their government, and their government says leave. What representatives?
I feel like I'm being tortured daily. I've lost sleep over this.
Taylor Logsdon, a 31-year-old stay-at-home mom, says she loved living in South Haven, where she's raising her 3 kids. But that was before.
I'm coming to you guys as a mother today.
Now she says the power plant is so loud it keeps her family up at night.
My kids, aren't getting sleep. Their grades were dropping in the school.
Are you able to get a full night's sleep?
Rarely ever, no.
Logsdon is suing XAI along with 2 other South Haven residents who live within a mile of the plant. They allege in the suit that, quote, near constant noise and vibrations are causing negative physical and psychological health effects. A separate lawsuit filed by the NAACP and others says the South Haven plant emits, quote, significant amounts of harmful pollutants from its gas turbines. South Haven's mayor, Darren Musselwhite, has defended the plant and said in a January Facebook post, the city is, quote, under attack by all those who choose to oppose Elon Musk because of his high-profile political stances. He warned his constituents to, quote, beware of the smokescreen of radical politics. But residents like Logsdon say they don't care who's behind the noise, they just want it to stop.
There's people that are telling us that we're just politically charged. It's because it's Elon and this, and it has nothing to do with Elon. It didn't matter who owned the power plant. What they're doing is wrong, So it could be my grandma who owned it, and I'd be like, Grandma, okay, that's nuts.
Kevin O'Leary and Fox News are being sued over claims that critics of the millionaire's massive Utah data center have ties to China after O'Leary made multiple media appearances defending his project and attacking critics. 2 activists are taking him to court, alleging that he falsely accused them of being foreign operatives backed by the Chinese Communist Party. The complaint identifies at least 10 media appearances between May 11th and June 3rd, where O'Leary repeatedly made those accusations. So you don't like a camera up your rear end. You don't like all the pollution that all this bullshit's causing. Well, you're a Chinese agent and you're against Elon because you don't like red hats. These are straight up criminals violating our natural rights. And that should be the end of the discussion. Meta is in talks to lease computing power from its AI data centers to Anthropic in a deal potentially worth up to $10 billion over 2 years, according to a report out of the failing New York Times. It's a giant circle jerk of fraud, corruption, and theft. Meta used AI-assisted systems to score and rank employees on a termination list. Those included MetaMate, a large language model assistant, and employee-trained, quote, second brain that tracked workers' communications and documents and productivity score. They even lied to their own workers about it. Where are we at here? We're past the hour mark. Let me take the live commercial break. Give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com/shop. The link's in the description below this video. We got this holograph sticker there, white background sticker, clear sticker. We got all the stickers there at weaponizednews.com/shop. You can see right there. We got baseball caps, coffee, mugs, T-shirts, shot glasses, as this show's known to induce heavy bouts of drinking, according to some audience members. Weaponizednews.com/shop. Go check out the store over there. Links in the description below the video. We take donations as well. Buy me a coffee, Bitcoin wallet address, Cash App. All those links are in the description below the video. Become a paid subscriber, Weaponized News Substack. We're streaming live there now. You'll get the full show, summary of the show, and links to almost everything we talk about for documentation and further research purposes. Weaponized News Substack. Nothing behind the paywall. We give away everything free. Show your support for independent reporting and analysis, brought to you 5 days a week. Broadcasting live Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern time on all your big tech platforms. Weaponized News Substack. Become a paid subscriber there. Help support some independent reporting and analysis. All the links are in the description below this video. Any which way you choose to support us is truly appreciated. Give me the like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. All that's free for you. Okay, on to some Epstein reporting here now. A little bit today. It kind of died down on a Friday. This is Forbes magazine, says Leon Black. He's great, good buddies with Trump, all up in the Epstein files. Leon Black says Epstein introduced him to Elon Musk. Billionaire Leon Black claimed he socialized with Jeffrey Epstein because of his many high-powered connections, including Elon Musk, but never considered him a friend, according to the transcript from his interview with the House Oversight Committee released earlier today. He wasn't a close friend, even though he did send Epstein a birthday card signed Love and Kisses. Not a close friend, though, of course. He got Leon Black, he got all pissed off and would not comment. Well, I'll just read you out here when it says Black is legally required to turn over his NDAAs to the House Oversight Committee by next week. The committee confirmed today he will also sit for another interview with the committee September 3rd after an initial July date for the testimony got postponed. While his June interview was voluntary, meaning he wasn't under any legal obligation to answer questions, this one will be under subpoena and thus have stricter rules. And so they're doing the back and forth about the NDAAs right now. Black's interview goes off the rails. Black's interview got testy shortly after it began. The transcript shows as House attorneys asked Black about the NDAA with a woman he admitted to having a consensual extramarital affair with. We're not going to get into NDAAs, Black's attorney said, leading to a back and forth over whether Black was allowed to discuss even the existence of the NDAs. It's so secret you can't even know we made a secret deal. Anyway, they had a big falling out basically over the NDAA secret dealings. So we'll look for more reporting about goings on with Black and Epstein. Epstein victims blast Trump Attorney General nominee Todd Blanche after meeting. Victims of Jeffrey Epstein blasted Todd Blanche after meeting with the acting Attorney General at the Department of Justice as he seeks confirmation as the permanent U.S. Attorney General. Victims called Blanche condescending and evasive, saying he seemed to be motivated to have the Thursday afternoon meeting, this was yesterday, solely to get his nomination. Yeah, they're saying it was a box to check because Senator out of North Carolina, Tillis, had requested that he meet and have a sit down with the Epstein victims. Like any of them give a damn. They're all Epsteiners at this point. Here's a little bit about, here's from some of the victims, Sky and Amanda Roberts, how the meeting with Todd Blanche went.
He won't even sit down with survivors of sexual assault on the highest level with some of the most amount of evidence and still won't prosecute against that. What is he going to do for every other survivor out there and mother and child? That is not the person you want in charge. And unless he shows something different here, nobody in their right mind, no senator should be voting yes for Todd Blanche to be the next Attorney General of the United States.
Hey everyone, Suhas here. So I'm here with Sky and Amanda Roberts, sister-in-law and brother of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, and you guys finally met with Todd Blanche, the acting Attorney General, because he was told he had to in order to get confirmed. How did it go?
I think it went exactly as we could have expected it to. It was the same thing he has been doing for the past 9 months. There was a lot of diversion to direct questions. There were a lot of moments where he said, I didn't say that. That's not what I said. Survivors didn't come out of that meeting feeling any more confident that there was going to be action. And in fact, in a lot of ways, we were totally re-traumatized.
I don't know how much hope I have left in this administration. I think I lost a lot of hope today. I really expected more. And I want to be clear, really tried to go into this with an open mind. I didn't want to go in there just to combat and try to cause any, this isn't for media purposes. This isn't for media. This is real life circumstance. My sister is no longer here because of the type of trauma that she endured through her life. This is real. And to have Todd Blanche look us in the eye and show little to none compassion is really a slap in the face. I want to keep the door open here, but I have a lack of faith in this administration and nothing necessarily came out of it.
Do you think he'll release the files or prosecute anyone at this point?
So I had asked the question in there. I said, what is it going to take for you to open an investigation? He said that I need testimony and then I need evidence. And we provided examples of both of those things. And even then he tried to scoot around what that would look like. You would think with 3 million files, you would think with thousands of victims.
It's so absurd. There's all the victims here. We're testifying. He's like, what? There's nothing. It's just so friggin' absurd. And then DOJ's blocking state of New Mexico's investigation attempts into Epstein's Zorro Ranch. Let's watch this clip with New Mexico Attorney General out of ZBS News. It's an ongoing cover-up by Todd Blanche, Trump's personal attorney, vying to become Attorney General, acting Attorney General, and ongoing cover-up of the Epstein files.
New Mexico Attorney General Raul Torres, he is currently in a standoff with the Department of Justice over its failure to release unredacted versions of the Epstein files the Attorney General is seeking in a matter very much a part of the New Mexico story with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Mr. Attorney General, I'm glad to have you here. I want to play another soundbite from Danielle Bensky about what the release of the Epstein files in an unredacted way did to her and other victims by releasing information that made them more vulnerable than they already were. Please listen.
Todd Blanche has been at the helm of the release of nude images of survivors, the outing of Jane Does, and the exposure of more than 100 victims identifying information and documents describing horrific acts of abuse, including my own. Instead of treating this release as its own violation and holding the man who led it accountable, you have a decision on whether you place him in the highest law enforcement position in this country.
Mr. Attorney General, when the Department of Justice put out a statement today saying they would try to have a meeting between Todd Blanche and survivors, it said this: "And we have always encouraged any victim with new evidence of a crime to speak with the FBI." Mr. Attorney General, I'm not an expert, but that seems to put the burden on survivors and victims, not on the investigatory apparatus of the federal government.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's unfortunately part of a pattern where there really has not been enough respect and consideration for the dignity of victims. I've had the opportunity to meet with some of them, to talk to them about our investigation in New Mexico. And one of the commitments that we've made is to try and make sure that no matter the outcome of that investigation, we will listen to them, we will talk to them, and we will meet them where they are. We will put in the time and the effort and the energy to go and find them, which is exactly why we've been asking for access to the unredacted and the complete universe of the Epstein files.
What do you want, and what are you not getting yet from the Justice Department? And what is it about?
Yeah, so 152 days ago, we asked Todd Blanche and the Justice Department for access to the complete Epstein files, unredacted. And the reason for that is that there have been, based on the open source records, nearly 14,000 references to Zorro Ranch, that's the property in New Mexico, and yet throughout the files that we can see through that are publicly available, a lot of those documents are redacted. So names of individuals.
Blacked out.
That's right, either blacked out in whole or in part. And so what we believe is that there are opportunities to follow new leads, identify potential co-conspirators, witnesses who have not come forward and testified, given us information, a whole range of information that could help advance our criminal investigation. And unfortunately, the Justice Department, specifically the Southern District of New York, told us just 2 days ago that they wouldn't cooperate with that request and they wouldn't be providing that access.
Todd Blanche could solve this, could he not?
That's exactly right. He can solve this with the stroke of a pen. And we, frankly, have been given the runaround. First, we were told to go back to the District of New Mexico, submit a TUI request. We did that. What they returned to us were 31 pages of publicly available information, news clippings.
Non-responsive.
Non-responsive.
Todd Blanche, Trump's personal attorney, is actively covering up. Yeah, he should not be confirmed to be Attorney General, obviously. But corrupt geriatric Republican senators, I'm sure they'll confirm them because they're corrupt pieces of garbage just like him and just like Trump. Okay, continuing here now. Trump's blaming Canada here now for these massive wildfires. We are holding Canada responsible for the fact that they are not properly maintaining their forest and brush therein. The United States is being unnecessarily invaded by filthy, polluted, and unhealthy air, the quality of which is dangerous and totally unacceptable. I will call the Prime Minister during the day to find out what they are doing about it. The cost is incalculable. Canada has refused to engage in basic forest management and debris removal, knowing that such refusal will lead to exactly this result. This is willful negligence and becoming a yearly occurrence, costing the United States billions of dollars, which cost of this pollution must of necessity be added to the tariffs Canada is currently paying. So all that don't make a difference if you're breathing in the polluted air. Now does it? Now does it? Over 100 million people are dealing with haze and smoke from Canadian wildfires as massive plumes of smoke engulf major U.S. cities. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. We showed a bunch of we showed the smoggy skyline of New York yesterday. Be careful out there breathing this toxic air. On to Taco Bell. Is this a meme? It can't be real, can it? Taco Bell removes lettuce from menu after links to explosive diarrhea. Goofy. Sounds goofy, but yeah. You know what I mean? DHS to reportedly deny green card. DHS reportedly to deny green cards to immigrants who use SNAP or Medicaid, according to Associated Press. U.S. executives are selling shares at the second fastest pace in more than 20 years, according to Bloomberg. The Genius Act is a backdoor CBDC, and the Clarity Act is how you will own nothing. Aaron Day posts. He's been saying that for a while now. Trump has promoted more than 20 companies on his Truth Social account days before buying stocks in those firms, according to CNN report. Pentagon dangles $400,000 salaries to recruit Wall Street bankers, plan to lend more than $200 billion to shore up defense manufacturing, fuels hiring spree. What happened to the whole Doge efficiency in government? Who cares when it comes to never-ending war and black hole of money being flushed down the Pentagon toilets? That's a report out of the Wall Street Journal. They're allegedly seeking these bankers to shore up financing for the war effort and paying them handsomely. SpaceX stock has cratered nearly 23% since the company joined the NASDAQ 100. I don't know who could have seen that coming. Retail investors were the exit liquidity, as it's said here now for SpaceX. Trump family media firm moves to sell early access to President's Truth Social posts. We reported on this yesterday. Financial Times, big report about it. The media conglomerate controlled by the Trump family is launching a premium data service designed to sell access to the U.S. president's social media updates before they are available to the general public. It's called racketeering. Trump Media and Technology Group announced the creation of Truth API, a programmatic data connection designed to provide rapid information transfers between software systems. The mechanism is marketed toward institutional trading entities seeking immediate notification of presidential announcements. Monetizing the presidential feed, TMTG, which operates the Truth Social platform where Donald Trump maintains 12.9 million followers, frames the development as a commercial expansion. Interim chief executive Kevin McGurn stated that the initiative serves to monetize I don't know why I can't pronounce the name, assets, monetize proprietary assets. The corporate entity confirmed the subscribers to the new data feed would receive updates milliseconds ahead of the public distribution. High frequency trading operations routinely invest heavily in specialized digital infrastructure to capture such fractional time advantages. Unfiltered access to the president's feed holds significant commercial value for algorithmic trading desks. Previous executive announcements regarding geopolitical conflicts and corporate equities have immediately altered asset valuations by billions of dollars. Algorithmic market volatility. In one instance in March, crude markets saw $500 million in trading volume roughly 15 minutes before a presidential post about diplomatic discussions with Iran. The subsequent publication caused a sharp decline in oil prices and broader market fluctuations. The company stated that the service addresses a market inefficiency, noting that until now, firms that prioritize tracking influential truth posts have relied on manual monitoring. The group added that the new framework closes the gap for organizations that place a premium on immediate verified access to information. The platform is used for various formats, including multimedia and automated content generation, which have occasionally drawn controversy before being deleted. Financial strains and corporate shifts. The commercial rollout is scheduled for next month, August, with TMTG confirming that multiple institutional clients have already committed to the service. Pricing structure for the data stream remains undisclosed. The monetization strategy arrives amid significant financial challenges for the media group. TMTG disclosed a net loss of $405 million for the first quarter ending in March of this year, representing a steep increase from the $31 million loss recorded during the identical period last year. The product launch follows an announcement 6 months ago regarding a potential structural reorganization. TMTG indicated it was evaluating a separation of the social media platform ahead of a projected $6 billion combination with TAE Technologies, a fusion energy enterprise backed by Google aimed at developing infrastructure to meet the artificial intelligence industry's power requests. That's a report out of the Financial Times. Who cares? MAGA, America, USA. Trump's literally rigging the markets and getting paid for it in advance in everybody's face. I don't know. This should be illegal. I don't know. It's extremely unethical, to say the least. I don't see how it's not illegal. But I'm sure they'll pass some law, regulation, whatever. So $1 billion to Trump. Have fun trying to eat. Yay, MAGA, USA, USA, USA. We're bombing Iran right now. Truly amazing level of corruption. Yeah, the price of a gallon of gasoline is going to hit over $4. Sad to report here now. According to AAA national average for the price of a gallon of gasoline here in America, it's now up to $3.98. And I believe this most recent bombing campaign will push it past $4. There you go. Back up well past that $4 threshold, I believe, next week for sure. And so, 2 cents away from $4, and you can see the ripple effect in the economy as the price of diesel, primarily used to transport goods, massively increasing, the cost passed on to the consumer, and you can see it in all of your goods, especially grocery prices. On to the Brown University Watson School of International and Public Affairs. We're now, according to their clock, up to $70 billion total consumer cost burden since the beginning of the Iran war on February 28, 2026. I do believe their data is lagging. Let's take a look. I believe it's higher than this, but there it is, a cool $70 billion consumer cost burden since the beginning of the Iran war. And they did tweak up their cost per U.S. household. You can see down here, spread across both gasoline and diesel. Now, for the honor of killing Iranians, $534.05 per U.S. household, spread across both diesel and gasoline. The cost burden, it costs a lot to kill Iranians. Strait of Hormuz essentially closed. A tanker was struck by an unidentified projectile. Reported earlier today there in the strait. The vessel sustained minor structural damage to its port side. All crew members are safe and accounted for. No environmental impact was reported. And that's out of UK, what are they called? UKMTO, one of the outfits monitoring the traffic there in the Strait of Hormuz. Here's that post right there about the attack. A record of just 3 commodity ships passed through the Strait of Hormuz as of yesterday, according to Reuters. The drop in traffic, a result of the reinstated U.S. Navy blockade, has led to widespread shipping delays and a resulting surge in global energy costs. Again, it's an engineered global energy crisis, i.e., engineered global famine. Only 8 Strait of Hormuz crossings were recorded yesterday, according to Kepler. You can see right here another tracking outfit that's tracking traffic through the strait. Iran says it's closed. So again, the blockade, one side of the strait, America's with a gun. The other side, Iran's with a gun. Both sides are saying, pay me or we shoot you in the face. I guess we don't even say it in America. We just say, let's shoot you in the face for the hell of it and call you a terrorist at this point. Iran's trying to profiteer out of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, and they have profiteered quite handsomely off of it. IEA warns energy security at risk if Strait of Hormuz oil flows are not restored. The International Energy Agency Executive Director Barral warned yesterday that global energy security could face growing risks if the United States and Iran fail to restore higher oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz in the coming weeks. He said oil security is still a critical issue at an event hosted by the Council on Foreign Relations. We should be worried, and I am worried, if the situation does not improve in the next few weeks. We're already past that, bro. But yeah, it's already going to result in millions starving to death and tens of millions being plunged into poverty here now. And so, yeah, and it's only getting worse by the day here now that it's closed. IRGC commander vows continued operations until Stability returns to the Strait of Hormuz. The commander of the IRGC Aerospace Force, which we blew up multiple times, but somehow they're still around, Mousavi, has declared that Iranian military operations will persist until calm returns to the southern coastline and the Strait of Hormuz. In a public statement issued earlier today, he went on in the statement to say that the IRGC formally claimed responsibility for a series of retaliatory strikes. We covered that against U.S. military bases across the region in Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, Bahrain, Jordan, and Syria. He added a couple extra ones to the previous report there. Continuing in a statement, he said, in our strategic calculations, every part of our territory is equally sacred. From Tehran to the south, Iran is one indivisible whole. Our precise and effective strikes against the enemy launched from across Iran will continue until calm is restored to the southern coastline and the Strait of Hormuz. The declaration marks a sharp intensification in the regional confrontation occurring as the United States maintains a naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, following the conclusion of 6 consecutive nights of U.S.-led bombing campaign, which have increasingly targeted civilian infrastructure within Iran. Tehran has signaled that its defensive and retaliatory posture will remain in effect until the transit route is secured from foreign military interference. Not good. We're on day 6, bombing them right now. China, Pakistan urge U.S. and Iran to halt fighting and resume peace talks. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi and Pakistani Foreign Minister Dar Ishaq Dar called on the United States and Iran to stop fighting and return to negotiations during a meeting in Shanghai earlier today. According to a statement issued by China's foreign ministry, the two ministers expressed concern over the deterioration of the current situation, calling on the involved parties to immediately cease hostilities and return to dialogue, describing the agreement as hard won. Wang said, "Peace is before our eyes. We cannot fall at the last hurdle, and even more so cannot lose what we have gained." I don't know what we gained here, honestly. I think he's talking about the MOU. That's gone. It was never a thing. It was a fake psyop by the White House. Anyhow, bragging about killing Russians, NATO had all over the media bragging about killing 30,000 to 35,000 Russians a week, or a month, excuse me. And then yesterday we reported on that Australian newspaper bragging about training Ukrainians to kill Russians, how wonderful it is. Today, Defense News, the CIA bragging about how wonderful it is to kill Russians. Russian troops survived just 20 to 30 minutes on Ukraine's front lines, CIA director says. Russian recruits arriving on the front lines in Ukraine survive an estimated 20 to 30 minutes before they are killed or wounded. CIA Director John Radcliffe said 2 days ago on Wednesday to Defense News, marking the first time a senior American intelligence official has confirmed how deadly the war has become for Moscow. The assessment comes as Ukraine's battlefield technology has stalled Russia's advancement along the front line and drawn foreign partners ready to spend billions of dollars in deals with the defense industry. European and Ukrainian officials have said for months that Russian casualty rates have climbed to record levels, with Ukraine's top general telling NATO allies in May that Russia loses at least 1,000 soldiers a day. That's where this number 30,000 to 35,000 a month comes from, that NATO, again, is running around bragging about all over the place. That's because AI-powered drones have gotten to be such specialized, low-cost killing machines, he added. Wowzers. It's just all quite horrific. The Russia to Ukraine casualty rate reached nearly 8-1 in the first half of this year, up from roughly 2-1 or 3-1 for most of the war, as AI-powered drones expanded across the front. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, more than 2 million soldiers on both sides have been killed or wounded since Russia's, of course, unprovoked invasion, right? Sure it was, into Ukraine in 2022 of February. Yeah, we reported on that. So yeah, over 2 million if you add up both sides. It's just quite horrific bloodbath. The day before, the European Union and Ukraine signed a drone production deal in Kiev worth over $6 billion. So they do love killing themselves some Russians, and they will pay a lot of money for that ability, and they will brag about it all over the media, tragically enough, here now, as the Russia-Ukraine war rages on. Now to our own Department of War back here in America. Who's this guy? Some undersecretary, or he's the PR guy, the propagandist, Sean Purnell from the Department of War, says reporters do not have a First Amendment right to freely roam the halls of the Pentagon. The Department of War welcomes the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals decision granting an emergency motion for a stay, a big win for protecting national security. The court found that we are likely to succeed on the merits of our argument, so the policy remains in effect while the case moves forward on an expedited schedule. And they're talking about, not talking to reporters, national security. Obviously, American people don't need to know jack about what's going on with all these wars fought in our name and funded by our tax money and the debt on our back, because national security, of course. So that's wonderful. Talking about this ruling right there to help taper the Pentagon answering any questions about anything. God forbid they be accountable to the public. So the Goy beam, as Snow likes to call it out there, this is not that, but similar. Out of the Department of War, our space power beaming solicitation is a game changer for power generation. Apply now. And they put out this fancy meme, and that's on the thumbnail for today's show. A new dawn in power transmission, space power beaming, unlimited power wherever you are, powered by the Defense Innovation Unit. Aardvark space lasers. No, that's not this. This is, here's the press release where they're soliciting innovation in this technology. I'll put it on the screen for you here. Space Power Beaming, SPB. Project description, problem statement. As space technologies advance and power requirements for missions increase, there's a growing need to investigate alternative forms of power production, generation, and delivery for both on-orbit and terrestrial assets. In space, existing power technology limits the ability to deploy new and novel technologies on orbit, and many missions operate with narrow power margins, constraining largely by a trade between size, weight, and power, and availability of power sources. Terrestrially, the flight of the future requires access to power in denied and potentially austere locations. Space power beaming provides an innovative approach to recover the power ceiling and improve the duty cycle for on-orbit systems. Space power beaming could also provide a means to reduce or eliminate the need for extended infrastructure and reduce the logistics burden through the spectrum of conflict. Desired solution: the joint force seeks a demonstration traceable to a future operation capability that will inform architecture decisions. SPB is envisioned as a multi-orbit utility enabling long-range power delivery to multiple orbital regimes: low Earth orbit, LEO; medium Earth orbit, MEO; geostationary Earth orbit, GEO; and beyond, and terrestrial locations. This could enable a number of applications of interest to the Department of War, such as edge computing, in-space manufacturing, and power delivery to forward operating locations and unmanned systems. Multiple approaches are under consideration, including power as a service or United States government-owned operated systems. While it is expected that SPB will eventually be multi-orbit capable, the Joint Force desires a narrow-term LEO-based prototype and demonstration to evaluate the military utility of the capability. Space to terrestrial power beam. Let's get in here. Space to space power beaming. Complete commercial solutions for transmitting power to space-based receivers. Space to terrestrial power beaming. Complete commercial solution for transmitting power to terrestrial based receivers. Power beaming receivers. Complete commercial solutions for receiving and converting the power that was transmitted. Commercial solution, next gen power beaming components. Commercial solutions for next gen power transfer components designed to reduce SWAP and or improve the manufacturability for SPB transmitting and receiving capabilities. So they're soliciting, can you make the power beam transfer as depicted there? And they go through the rest of the details. I won't bore you with the technical details. Can you out there, engineers, create this GOI beam to beam the power back and forth? I don't know if it's even possible, sci-fi-ish, but that is what the Department of War is soliciting now. And all those links, again, will be posted at Weaponized News Substack, or you can find it at the Defense Innovation Unit, posting there on the X, soliciting engineers to try to build this tech. All right. So, yeah. Should we report on this every day like Epstein? I don't know. It seems like a pretty big deal. Salem Media's chief strategy officer, Brad Parscale, is a federally registered foreign agent for Aardvark land, We keep bringing that up. It seems extremely significant. They're brainwashing all of these, quote, Christian conservatives that listen to conservative talk radio through the Salem Media Network over terrestrial airwaves here in America. In large part, it's an aardvark land Zionist propaganda machine here now, lying to the American people, run by Trump's former digital campaign manager, Brad Parscale. We've covered it the last 3 days here now. Time magazine documented it all there. Traitor to America, sold us out for a couple million. Good job. The influence brainwashing campaign against the American people via Salem Media is ongoing. Be aware, be aware, be aware. Again, we'll link to it. I guess at least give him credit for registering as a foreign agent. He probably figured if he didn't, he would get in trouble. He probably wouldn't get in trouble, honestly, at this point. We're merging with them anyway, right? So pretty soon the American flag will just be that freaking, I forget even the stupid satanic name of it. They're blue and their stupid 6-pointed star, right? Yeah. So, yeah, we'll post on, for those that haven't seen all the details, we'll post this Weaponized News Time magazine article. Trump's ex-campaign manager is running an aardvark land influence operation targeting the MAGA base. It's just amazing, the level of corruption, treason by these people calling themselves American patriots. It's beyond the pale. Odysee, foreign minister out of Iran, he doesn't miss many tricks. He said, Americans are being warned of foreign influence. He's talking about Trump's China stole my election speech last night, right? But he does correctly reference this here. He says, Americans are being warned of foreign influence. How about the extensive aardvark land campaign to bamboozle the U.S. administration into an unwinnable war of choice? Even worse, aardvark land is using U.S. tax dollars to silence any U.S. critics. It will all soon unravel. Yeah, I don't see how any of this is sustainable. But sad to say, I got to agree with the points made there by Iran Foreign Minister Odysee. I wish it wasn't that way. I wish Parscale wasn't working for aardvark land and he wasn't a traitor to this country. I wish we weren't in a war with Iran right now for no freaking reason. But all that is happening, okay? And so we got to call them out. The continued demolition campaign and genocide now in southern Lebanon is ongoing. It's just report after report after report. Aardvark land artillery shelling there in Markaba, southern Lebanon. Here's the images. It's ongoing every day now. You can see right there, they're leveling the joint. They're leveling the joint there. Aardvark occupation forces have destroyed all the tree lining the roads leading to Bint Jabil in southern Lebanon. You can see right here. They hate everything, right? They hate nature. They hate people. They're evil demons leveling all the trees there. I guess they'll say terrorists could be hiding in the tree. That's probably true, but they're leveling the whole joint. The Hajj Mousa Abbas Sports Complex in Bitchute, southern Lebanon, including the municipal stadium and the surrounding areas after aardvark land demolition operations. They leveled the joint. Here's the image there. Yeah, you had a nice municipal stadium until we leveled the joint. More More of the demolition bombing campaign you can see here. In Kafar, Tibet, southern Lebanon, multiple explosions reported earlier today. Aardvark land artillery shelling in the vicinity of Ali al-Tahir in southern Lebanon. There you go. Kuwaiti soldiers wounded in Iranian drone strikes on military facilities. The Kuwaiti army confirmed earlier today that several of its soldiers sustained injuries following a series of retaliatory Iranian drone strikes targeting multiple military facilities and bases across the country. We're going to start stacking bodies up of everybody there, man. The strikes occurred as part of a significant expansion of regional hostilities between Tehran and Washington following its latest series of retaliatory operations. Tehran officially announced that its forces had targeted U.S. military bases stationed across several nations, including Kuwait, Oman, Syria, Jordan, Bahrain, and Kuwait. And Qatar, excuse me. It's like, yeah, Iran should have never built their country around all our bases in the region. Quite amazing. Quite amazing. Let's see here now. Hear an alarm going off in the background. My producer's alarm is going off there. Do we have any up? Where's the latest here? Trying to see if we have any. Kuwait is their air defenses are reporting new. It's like right now in the last hour. Yeah, our bases there, Jordan bases in the last hour reporting attacks. It's ongoing attacks on our bases there in the region right now, like right now. 3 Palestinians were killed today in a series of Aardvark land strikes on Gaza. A bunch of them. They're stacking up a bunch of Palestinians again. Circulating reports say the headquarters of Kurdish opposition parties in Iraq's northern province were attacked, triggering continuous explosions as rockets and munitions stored inside the compound were reportedly hit. There's nighttime video of blowing up the place. Blowing up the place. Trump's Board of Peace scales back Gaza reconstruction plan into a single concentration camp. The Gaza plan proposed by U.S. President Trump, so-called Board of Peace, has been reduced from an ambitious effort to reconstruct the Gaza Strip to a small pilot project to build a concentration camp for Palestinians, according to a report out of UK Guardian. Yeah, they didn't want that 15-minute high-tech city. They just wanted to live in a tent and be bombed there in a concentration camp. And so they're going to get what they wanted there. Actually, I don't think they ever wanted to be bombed in the first place. But yeah, they go through talk about the futuristic landscape. For those that can remember the presentation given by Jared Kushner, which is actually a 15-minute slave city. But now they don't even get any of that. So you'll just get a tent and a bomb on your head in your concentration camp there. From the Board of Peace. From the Board of Peace. Aardvark occupation forces carried out a demolition operation using explosives east of the city of Kianis in the southern Gaza Strip. And you could see, as widely reported, the apocalyptic hellscape they've created there on the Gaza Strip. Leveling the entire joint. It's an ongoing operation. Occupying 70+% now Aardvark land forces target the funeral of Palestinian that had been killed earlier in the day. They're targeting refugees in tents, and then when they have a funeral for those refugees that they just killed, they kill the funeral as well. So it doesn't get much more evil than that. They won't even afford the Palestinians the grace of mourning their dead. It's pretty damn evil, man. I tell you. I don't know how else to report it here. And a massacre. I mean, I don't even want to show the photo because it's dead Palestinians laying in the road with blood all over. It's horrific. It's horrific. New out of Gaza. Gaza's government media office says Aardvark land forces have killed more than 25 civilians in a series of massacres over the last 72 hours, targeting public markets, funerals, civilian gatherings, and residential apartments with people still inside. The office said the escalation comes 280 days after the ceasefire agreement, and that it has documented more than 3,750 Aardvark land violations of the ceasefire. No ceasefire. And again, one of these latest rounds of massacres, 14 dead Palestinians, 37 wounded. Earlier today, early Friday morning, there on the Gaza Strip. And again, they have the pictures of dead Palestinians with blood literally running in the streets. I'll spare you of those images. I'll post it at Weaponized News Substack, the link for those interested. Ongoing massacres. There's video of them, rolling around dead, wounded Palestinians on stretchers, on gurneys. Dead kids, arms, legs, heads blowing up. It's just all quite horrific. I'll post the links to anybody interested in that war porn, Weaponized News Substack. I won't show it here to you. It's ongoing. There's millions of the images on the internet. It's quite horrific. And then finally, to wrap up the show today, on this Friday, as we're bombing Iran, and they're bombing our military bases there in the region. Old Ben Gvir, psychopath, war criminal. Ben Gvir's plan to encircle prisons holding Palestinians with crocodiles moves forward. Environmental minister changes crocodiles' legal status despite objections from legal advisors. Officials assess site near Golan Heights to kickstart project despite environmental concerns. Ben Gvir celebrated making Palestinian prisoners piss themselves out of fear. Yeah, because he goes into their prisons and harasses them and tortures them, and the whole routine, as we continually report. They're being raped with foreign objects by men, women, animals. It's all quite horrific. Sticking knives of Palestinian prisoners' rear ends. Hot knives, all this different, just the most sadistic, evil torture, abuse you can imagine. It's all been documented. That's what's going on. That's what God's chosen people are doing to Palestinian prisoners there. It's pure evil. Pure evil. Not my God, but that's according to the evil Aardvark's own accounts. All right, that's all the reporting we got for today. Let's see the latest, greatest headlines out of Iran International. Yeah, I'm blowing up stuff right now. Iran International, latest headlines here. U.S. hits tunnels, more bridges on 7th night of attacks on Iran. Central CENTCOM says latest wave of strikes against Iran complete. I guess it's over now, thankfully, until the next round. Kuwait Army says air defenses intercepting Iranian drone attacks. CENTCOM denies IRGC report of oil tankers exploding in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran Army says drones targeted U.S. bases. We covered that. all over the joint there. Missile hits traffic control tower on Larak Island. And we showed you the image of that earlier in the show with the Secretary of War bragging about it, posting the destruction of that tower. Al Jazeera headlines here. U.S. and Iran exchanged deadly attacks for 7th consecutive night. Strait of Hormuz traffic falls to 3. We reported on that. 3-week low. It's basically closed. Air raid sirens reported again in Bahrain. That was 18 minutes ago. Travel warnings are being put out across the region as well. Places on fire. It's all quite horrific on this Friday. Let's pray for peace. Let's pray for peace. Things only appear to be escalating with a lot stronger rhetoric now coming out of Iran. The tit for tats. It's all quite horrific here now. But hell, Trump's family set to profiteer handsomely, and that's really all that matters. MAGA, go America, USA, USA, USA. All right, let's go over to the channels now, see if we had any chat going on the Odysee channel first here. Shout out to the Odysee audience on this Friday. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Shout out to Pink, Huffman, Gurr, Highland. Thank you guys for tuning in on this Friday. Let's see. Looks like some conversations back and forth. Exactly. Highland says, why are you in Qatar? Maybe fix a pothole. That's for all government, right? All our Western governments here. Oh, who cares about the domestic population? We got terrorist Iranians to kill. That would be interesting news. Looked like Kermit the Frog. So, shout out to Fat Bob. That does it, Sam. I am now compelled to write a strongly worded letter to somebody. Could work. Could work. Could work. As we reported all this week, massive protests against the spy centers, against the flock cameras. People go to their city councils, their county boards. Just massive protests, and they literally laugh in your face. Ha ha! And they even say, "Yeah, we're going to say we're against this," and then turn around the next day. Oh, it turns out we're for it. It's just the level of corruption and just disconnect between the American people and our government is all-time record high, or at least it's self-evident here now with all this media technology. They can't deny it. They still don't care. They still don't care. The government's an organized crime syndicate at every level here now, and the government wins every election. Go China. You know what I mean? It's just beyond the pale of ridiculousness here now. When the government's real only job here in America, the only reason we have a government is for it to uphold our natural rights. Or why even have a government? To lie, cheat, steal, send us off to illegal foreign wars of aggression. That's what they do. They don't uphold our natural rights. There's a line there in the Declaration of Independence, America 250, that says when your government gets tyrannical, to paraphrase them, overthrow it. Just saying. That's what the founding document of this country says. All right, friends, thank you for tuning in on the Odysee. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on X, Kick, Bitchute, Substack, YouTube, and Rumble. Let's head over to the chat over there, see how much I can get through. We got some new, shout out to the new YouTube listeners. Thank you guys for tuning in over on the YouTube. TDS, Trump diarrhea syndrome. Don't eat the lettuce, Randy. I'll accept that. Trump fails at everything. McConnell is not dead. According to the governor of Kentucky, he is. Maybe he's lying. I don't know. Maybe the governor of Kentucky is lying about all of this. Could be. The United States has been messing around in Iran since Eisenhower. Yeah. Rick says, yeah. Fat Bob says, Trump lies, please. My president, right or wrong? I hear you. Chris says, only a fool would support Democrats. Who's supporting Democrats? I don't support any government. They say, wow, another MSM puppet. Apparently they're just trolls and don't watch the show long enough to get the full understanding of what Weaponized News is about. We don't support any government, okay? Anywhere in the world. So get that through your heads there. Fat Bob says, Paul Craig Roberts asked weeks ago, what's been keeping Iran from finishing the job? Good question. And that speaks to the idea that at the very top levels, they're all meeting together. America, Aardvarkland, Iran, all meeting together in their secret society meetings. That speaks to that idea very loudly, actually. Oh no, the Aardvarks found the stream again. Snow said, they're on the YouTube. Let's see here. It's an AI race. The winner controls the world. Sure it is. F-lock, you will be absorbed, Max says. Oh, man. 500,000 times in just nine weeks. Yeah. Talking about third party accessing that data. That's just for our own public safety, of course. No one would ever abuse it. That's all they're doing is gathering up all this data and abusing it. It's just so absurd. Maggie uses Jim Jordan's tongue to wipe their arsenal. That was a pretty good one. Python on the YouTube. That was a pretty good one. Dump Trump, dissolve ICE Stapo. Shout out to Ruckus. What does he say? Sorry, been busy AF. We are getting ready for a boiler room tonight. Be sure to tune into the boiler room with Ruckus and the boiler room crew over there after Weaponized News. Yes, tune in there. Let me wrap this up because boiler room's coming on. Let's see. Appreciate all the comments. Most of them are okay, I guess. A lot of new people. I voted for Trump because he promised no more wars. Don't hate him, but treason is a serious thing. Yeah. Trump attacked 7 countries in 70 weeks. I don't know if that's true, but Iran is not a new war. What? God save America from fascist Trump. Lincoln is greatest American president. Obama is greatest president of the 21st century. Obama's worst president in history. Oh my gosh. Guys. I just can't do the partisan politics. We're nonpartisan here. I refuse to do it. because it's nonsense. Shout out to Denver. He says, oh, this means a lot coming from Trump, who can't speak without lying. You should read Don Quixote for audiobooks. Hooked on Phonics worked for me. You try to read all these crazy Arabic names. They say the most famous aardvarks, Albert Einstein and Jesus Christ, refused aardvark citizenship. That says something. Oh, man. They say, wow, an American with a map, so rare. That's a pretty funny one. Because they are intentionally retarded, as Aardvark Land basically rolls out forward operating bases and forces like Cop City and ICE, which act against core legal rights of Americans, Denver said. Zio, you saw the Trump speech where he said that most Americans don't know that dumb is spelled with a B, right? I do remember that. That was last week. So stupid. What is worst source of news, Fox or CNN? Probably Fox, honestly. Did Mitch die? According to Governor of Kentucky. According to Governor of Kentucky, we covered it at the beginning of the show, the reports. Well, he did an interview this week with Katie Couric, and he said he had multiple reports telling him that Mitch McConnell had died. Just search up, where it is it. That was toward the end of the show, but I suppose you caught the headline there. Yeah, Governor Bashir of Kentucky suggested he received information suggesting McConnell had passed away in a new interview. And we covered it at the beginning of the show. During an interview with Katie Couric on her YouTube channel, Governor of Kentucky, Andy Bashir, said that he received information suggesting Senator Mitch McConnell had passed away before the senator's release on July 12th about his health following his hospitalization. He said, I'd gotten 2 calls from different agencies, not state agencies, suggesting he'd passed away. Direct quote from Kentucky governor. Millions dead in Ukraine. Meanwhile, back at the Kennedy assassination. Graham on the YouTube says American evangelicals are Satan's favorite useful idiots. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. An oath to the star will do. A lot of comments. It's hard to track them all. Thank you, everybody, for commenting. No bodies except Iranian bodies. Yeah. Nothing bad happens to us, right? Because it's magical. No, Iran's shooting back. Sorry to report. Iran is shooting back. McConnell's been dead for 6 weeks. Misty says. May very well have been. Will the next U.S. president be a true Christian, or was Biden the last ever? Biden's a self-admitted Zionist. He's a Zionist, so I don't know. Hasn't been confirmed. More about the Mitch. I read the report. I don't know what other confirmation we can get. Kentucky governor says he's dead, according to the information he has. Government lies about everything. I don't know why Kentucky governor would lie about McConnell being dead. You know what I mean? Maybe he is lying. Maybe McConnell is out there, doing heavy workouts and all the rest of the routine with the Department of War, taking his testosterone injections. Maybe that's the case. I hope it is. But again, that's not the news coming out of Kentucky governor. I guess we shall see at some point in time. It feels like they'll have to admit dude's either here or not. I believe up here in early August, key dates for government elections and all this. I don't know all the details in my head, but key dates are coming up where they're going to have to put up or shut up about Mitch McConnell. Who knows? They'll roll out a guy in a mask, a robot, AI. Who knows? Who knows? But again, I'm going by what the Kentucky governor said. Mitch McConnell's dead. All right, friends, let's pray for peace. It's not looking good. Everything looks like it's escalating here now. Looks like it's escalating there in Iran and the region quite significantly as we're on day 7 of the Iranian bombing campaign. Let's pray for peace. As always, everybody do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Friday evening. And if something major happens, we'll do a show over the weekend. I don't know if it gets more major than this. I don't know. But until then, have a great rest of your Friday evening, a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday for more Weaponized News. Let's pray for peace.